All right. Welcome on back to the same edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. I suppose it is your boy, Spenny Powers. I am solo today, unable to time things up last night with Jake. We attended a little party. Shout out to Rita Galdwell. Shout out to Glenn Clark. Had a great time. Thank you so much for having us. Went to the old Admirals Cup in Fells Point. Had a really nice time. So I will be solo doloing this one. We do have Daniel Oyefusi of the Miami Herald, who is attached at the end of this, giving his kind of breakdown of the Dolphins and things of that nature. So just going to be me breaking down some thoughts and notes, watched most of the Dolphins offensive performance against the Patriots, got to the point where it was 20, they were up 3 scores and just kind of trying to run the ball out and gave up a little bit there. So I guess starting with that in the fourth quarter, it really didn't appear that they have any sort of, and this isn't just starting in the fourth quarter, but throughout the entire game, the Dolphins lack any real physical presence offensively in terms of being able to hit, being able to physically impose your will, things of that nature. I would really say with Tyreek Hill is the second most imposing physical presence as a player, aside from Armstead. What I did notice tendency-wise, the Dolphins really are trying to make things as easy as humanly possible on Tua. McDaniel is using motion to throw the ball a lot of motion to give Tua quick outs in the flats. So Tua against the Patriots had 36 dropbacks, 23 completions. 8 of them were targeting a receiver who was in motion pre-snap. That tied with Geno Smith and Patrick Mahomes for the most in the NFL in week 1. 25 of Tua's 36 dropbacks had a receiver in motion, and Tua went 14 for 22, took 3 sacks, and also threw a touchdown to Jalen Waddle. It definitely appears that they like to use Tyreek Hill to attack downfield. Similarly, in motion to how we saw the Ravens at times use Devin Duvernay actually in 2021. Obviously, they're going to target him a lot more, but you see him come in motion across the formation and then just storm out of the gates, stomping, getting vertical, creating as much vertical push as he can. And then he'll break down like very few players in the NFL can, turn around for some comebacks or some hitches, things like that. And obviously, DBs are going to be scared to death of him beating them over top. So he's going to have a ton of cushion for some easy throws. That's going to happen. They're going to have chunk plays to Tyreek Hill as well as Jalen Waddle. Only 13 of Tua's 36 dropbacks targeted past the sticks, past the first down marker. He only completed 6 of those 13, and only 8 of them were catchable. He had 7.9 yards per attempt when there was motion and 8.7 yards per attempt when there wasn't. His average distance of target is A-dot without motion was 5.5. So if there's no motion, at least against the Patriots, they were not looking to push the ball downfield. Tua was not looking to push the ball downfield. And to me, that says it's a lot to do with comfortability. When you run a really high rate of motion to throw the ball, what are you doing for your quarterback? You are simplifying things. You're giving him answers. You're giving him, the summary or the outline, the cliff notes to what the defense is doing. When you have Tyreek Hill come in motion across a formation, you're going to see who's going to run with him. You're going to be able to identify mostly zone, but how the zone is going to rotate and get a better idea. You're going to be able to prevent defenses from disguising things pre-snap and then giving you a different look post-snap because they're going to roll into their post-snap look because of the motion. They can't really disguise it. So that's going to give Tua a heads up a little bit. So again, really weren't looking to push the ball down the field when there wasn't motion on the play, only 5.5 yards per or average distance of target. And again, just really looking to help him read coverage. You obviously, like I said, can't play man because of Tyreek and Waddle. I would anticipate the Ravens in this matchup defensively to definitely rely on a lot of split safety looks like they did in week 1 against the Jets, as well as playing a lot of palms, cover 4, where all four, let's say the outside corners and the split safeties are all in a back pedal. Each of them have a fourth of the field in a dead back pedal. That's the best way, I guess, to describe quarters. The best way to beat quarters is to attack the middle of the field. However, and Tua he has a very little margin for error. When I'm watching him again, it just kind of reminds me of a little, poor man's Russell Wilson in terms of the way he moves and rolls out and how quickly he will bail if there's any kind of pressure and what his bails look like. Also reminds me of Jimmy G, maybe because of Mike McDaniel coming from the 49ers in a sense, but just not really a super gifted arm talent. Jimmy, I think, is a lot less, I want to say tough, but also a much more clean mover from inside the pocket. His footwork stays consistent. I think that Jimmy does have a little bit more arm talent than Tua does. The arm talent really was an issue. The long touchdown they had to Waddle was on 4th and 8 on the Patriots 40. Huge, ballsy move by Mike McDaniel. Tyreek Hill after the game says you're going to have a wheelbarrow to carry his nuts around. Awesome South Park reference if that's what it was, Tyreek. But ultimately, there were a few plays where Tua got the timing perfect. And what I did also see is that when he was able to set his feet, especially later in the game, he can maximize his structure. He can maximize his posture, get as much drive on the ball as he can. And it felt like against the Patriots, they were moving him way too much early in the game, trying to move him off his spot, rollouts across his body. He has an ugly crossbody throwing motion, just looks discombobulated, not perfected yet. Obviously, he's a lefty, so they rolled him right a couple times. And he can when he escapes the pocket, he has good awareness of where the outlet is, and he can just float a meatball over to a receiver. And they really do have some shifty guys, Edmonds and the other backs, Hill, Waddle, all these guys they have can do damage after the catch. Absolutely. So if he can just put the ball in their hands, they can make plays. But when he was planted, it looked a lot cleaner. He could posture up, like I said, and drive the ball. It looks like they stopped moving him as much in the second half, a lot more 0 and 1-step drops, throwing some screens, a lot of quick throws to the flats. He wants to get the ball out as quick as possible. Hill is going to eat. Waddle is going to eat. They're going to manufacture them touches on screens. And Hill will do his shifty little, transitions into a ball carrier like some sort of, Plan 9 from outer space, Martian coming to invade Earth, and he can just transition, get right upfield. Basically, what I think of Tyreek Hill, I think the most consistent thing I've seen him do over the years with the football in his hands is that he likes to square you up and keep his feet moving, give you a little hesitation so that you show him where you want to go or where you want to protect, in other words. And then he goes there anyway because he's like, oh, well, I'm faster than you. So I know you're going left. Now I can just run around you left and take that, position to the sideline, get up the field. And you're trying to bring me back to the defense this way. So he just goes right around you. Going to happen. They're going to move the ball in chunks at times. The backs, the run game, the right side of their line stinks. And they're desperate for a right tackle right now. The right guard, not a great performance. Left guard, not a great performance. Armstead and their center Connor Williams both were effective against the Patriots, but they just don't get a ton of push. They ran a couple sweeps, a couple tosses, those kinds of things. They want to run some outside zone, run the ball to the outside, the perimeter, work the defense laterally. Just leaves huge alleys for safeties and linebackers to go blow plays up. I like Edmonds. He's shifty. He can, dart his way through effectively. He's not scared to kind of cut in and out of traffic between the tackles, some of those things. So their backs are okay. They don't really scare you. Edmonds is pretty solid in pass protection from what I've seen from him in Arizona and as well as, watching this Patriots game. So that's a nice little thing. But, a team that if the worst case scenario happens and the Ravens are playing this game, Waddle, has a big play, scores a touchdown. Hill is dominating you, has 140 yards, maybe a touchdown. They can't really run the ball out effectively. So they do need to use the pass game as an extension of their run game. But again, it's just not – Tua can't drive the ball to make you pay on the sideline. I really have wanted to like Tua and kind of stay against the grain, I guess, on him. Wasn't crazy high on him coming out, but I don't know. I just think he is a little bit better than given credit for. But again, the arm talent really is bottom tier for anyone who can play in the NFL. PFF graded him with 0 big-time throws and 2 turnover-worthy throws. Tyreek Hill went and grabbed a ball off of a face mask of a defender that should have had an interception. So Mike McDaniel trying to make it as easy as possible for him, all of the motion, all of those kinds of things, giving him, the cliff notes to the defense and the coverage and those things. And again, there are going to be some nice in rhythm anticipatory throws, but he has to do that or else he's not going to be successful. So I really wanted my kind of Sunday takeaway, kind of, after watching some highlights of the Dolphins and things, thought this was going to be a really tough game for the Ravens on that side of the ball. And, hey, the Ravens likely aren't going to have Brandon Stevens potentially out, Kyle Fuller done for the season. Jalen Armour-Davis suddenly propels up. Not sure if we're going to see Marcus Peters. So the dime looks. I didn't think the Ravens were going to run a ton of dime. And I'm not even going to say it's because of injury. I think they just are going to run a lot more dime than I expected. I didn't realize Chuck Clark would be the green dot defensive play caller again. And so he's not coming off the field, Marcus Williams isn't coming off the field, and Kyle Hamilton is going to get a minimum of 20, 25 snaps a game, I would think, at the very least. So that's going to lend you to likely a minimum of 25 to 30% dime, I think. So that's going to be a huge key in order to contain this deal. Patrick Queen's going to have to go tackle in space. We did watch him go hunt down Tyreek Hill last year on the sideline last time they played, but the Chiefs also picked on him at times. So I'm curious to see. But I think this defensive line, even regardless if Travis Jones plays or not, but you're just adding more depth, is going to wreck shop against the Dolphins. They are going to pressure Tua. I don't know how the Dolphins score more than 20 points. I think the doomsday for the Ravens would be 24 points that the Dolphins score. I just don't see it in the cards. The tight ends aren't relatively impressive in blocking. They don't, really do anything downfield. Not, big run after the catch guys. They do use their fullback quite a bit. To me, I can tell where the play is going a lot of the time. He is looking where he's going to go in motion. He is looking where he's going to block. It is like playing peewee football kind of. I don't know. He was looking left and then he's blocking left a lot of the time. Simple tell. But, offense was really unimpressive to me outside of obviously Waddle and Hill. And if those guys combine for, 180 yards after the catch and score 3 touchdowns, then, hey, the Dolphins can win this game. Unless the Ravens put up a stinker offensively, I guess transitioning to the other side of the coin. I think that Cole Jackson did a really fantastic breakdown of what the Dolphins showed last year in terms of forcing the Ravens they basically forced the Ravens to slide one way in their protection. They would mug the A-gap. They would show 2 defenders standing, 2 linebackers or a dime backer standing over the center. And then whichever way the center went, both of those defenders most of the time would just drop into coverage into hooks that way. And then they would bring pressure off of the opposite side. So they would end up only bringing 4 or 5, but they would have 4 on 3 on the other side, wherever the center didn't go. The center's not going to be able to protect inside, which allows the left guard to protect outside, which allows the left tackle to go get the end man, and the back can pick up something between. So I think that the answers for doing that, I don't think the Dolphins are going to run it to the extent that they did last year when these 2 teams played. I think that Daniel Oyefusi gets into a really smart take about why the short week impacted them doing that defensively, and it made a ton of sense, and considering where they were with their season. And that's on the end of me ranting here, I suppose. So that's a great interview. You can skip ahead if you want to listen to that one. But ultimately, they're going to do it again. They're going to do it in some high leverage downs, I think. 3rd down, 3rd and long. See if the Ravens can handle it. How do you handle it? Well, if you're scared of the actual 0, which they ran, I think, 5-6 times in that game, actually brought all out blitz. Well, you can go take a running back, or you can go take a tight end, and you can stick them. Let's say you're in shotgun, you can go stick them directly in the A gap ahead of the quarterback, next to the center, behind them. Then if one of the linebackers comes, they can fill. Then you don't need to have the center sliding that way. So that's one answer. When you do that, guess what they're going to do? Overload the opposite side and at least get one-on-ones, if not one unblocked rusher, but you know where it's going to happen from at that point. So if you're aware, this is deep chess, but if you're aware of where the pressure is going to come from, usually you like to replace the pressure or the blitz by throwing there. So if they're bringing pressure off the left side, you can run a screen to the left side. You can run a bullet slant to the left side. Some of those kinds of things. The Ravens did have answers last year. They ran bullet slants. They tried a couple screens. They tried to run a speed option where you're just attacking one defender. It was Jerome Baker, and Lamar kind of didn't have the chutzpah in a short week to go attack Jerome Baker head on and maybe take a hit and then flip the ball in the speed option. He kind of just pitched it out to Devontae Freeman. Baker goes and chases him down. Speed option's a classic answer. Tempo, another way to prevent them from getting settled. In that game, the Dolphins really they hit harder. They executed well. When the Ravens ran rollouts, yet another answer to these pressure looks, these mugged up, quote unquote cover 0 looks. The Dolphins just sprinted perfectly in coverage. It was really just an outstanding game of execution from the Dolphins. So that was in Miami on a short week. The Ravens overlooked them severely. Now they are coming to the Ravens in their home opener. From the fan perspective, I think that it's going to be a much different game, a much different environment, much different team offensively for the Dolphins. And, Hill did some great things. Waddle did some great things. Tua made a couple nice throws here and there, but they are still not fully on the same page. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for turnovers. It feels like the Dolphins are really focusing on generating yards after the catch. I would love to see if I can find a prop bet for the Ravens to force over 1.5 fumbles in this game. They are running around with meatloaf in their hands, a loaf of bread, and it's getting willy-nilly. Jalen Waddle tried to lower his shoulder. Someone came and popped it out. They are emphasizing yards after the catch to the point where I think ball security is lacking a little bit. The Ravens have always loved shots on goal, forced a couple of fumbles last week, and I expect at least one forced fumble from the Ravens in this game. If they're able to generate 2 turnovers, I think the Ravens win this game handedly. I think that's going to be a huge aspect of it. But the offensive side of the football is still remaining there. They don't have Byron Jones. They do have Javon Holland. They do have Xavier Howard. I think there's going to be a huge opportunity for Devin Duvernay again. I would imagine that Howard is probably going to be on Bateman a little bit more so. And hey, Devin Duvernay, go do something after the catch. Go run some quick slants. Go run some quick plays. Get that in. This week is not a week to, like last week, have a man call and a zone call. This is a week to have checks in case you get pressure looks. So the Ravens really need to emphasize quick calls, shortening verbiage, and getting to the line, giving Lamar a chance. Roman and company need to be able to give Lamar options. Every kind of high leverage down, third down, second and long, whatever, mainly third down, you need to have a check for every play. And it can be the same check. It can be 3, maybe 4 checks. You can run the same check multiple times. That's fine. In different ways from different formations or alignments, same exact kind of structure or concept ultimately. So I think that's going to be a huge thing. Now they're at home. They're going to be able to use hard count. If you get the line a little quicker, use a little bit of tempo. That's how you will beat this defense. In terms of the run game, don't think there will be one. The Dolphins up front, Sealer, Wilkins, those guys are absolute units. I don't think that the Ravens kind of have the bodies right now. I would love to see Nick Boyle, more of Nick Boyle or any of Nick Boyle, and really a little bit less Ricard, to be honest. I think the Ricard can do some nice things in line. Ricard, wasn't great last week, especially to start the game. And hey, maybe it's a little bit of rust, whatever. But I think Boyle is going to be a huge aspect, and the Ravens should utilize him this week for sure in this game, where if you want to go run the ball, he's going to help you. He's going to be able to wash guys out. He's going to be able to down block. He's going to be able to connect in space. He's going to execute his assignment more consistently, I think, than Ricard would in this game. And I would prefer to have him in those kind of 6-man front looks where he's in line attached. So that's an opportunity. Hey, Isaiah Likely, probably going to get a couple opportunities to go run with the football after the catch as well. So all guys that need to step up, execute. The Dolphins are going to bring some pressure. It's the same defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer, while Brian Flores is no longer there. And you heard Mike McDaniel this week say this is the defense's football team until proven otherwise. So they're relying on their defense to go have an outstanding effort. They had a nice game last week. It was a nice game, but I don't think that the threat of the Mac Jones Patriots is really comparable in any way to the Ravens offense and what they have, and guys like Mark Andrews and really Rashad Bateman as well. So I do expect, I tried to go into this one. I thought I was going to take the Ravens to lose this one. I ultimately am going to take them to win. I think the Ravens are going to be able to put up, have at least two touchdown scoring drives. I would say the Ravens score at least 20 points in this one. I'm going to call it 27 to, let's go with 18 in this one, a funky score. So I think the Dolphins will have big plays. They will chunk downfield. Tyreek Hill, who knows? Waddle could have an 80-yard touchdown. Tyreek Hill could have an 80-yard touchdown. It happens, but I just don't see them being able to consistently manufacture the offense. I feel like Marcus Williams is a huge factor in this one in helping out. I would expect bracketing of Hill quite a bit and would love to see Humphrey and kind of man match on Waddle. So go take away, use Marcus Williams to kind of help over top to take away Tyreek Hill. If you can, hey, it's easier said than done. And then I think Jalen Waddle's a beast, man. I'm probably going to be putting him in DFS this week a good bit. I think he's an outstanding receiver, very high on him this offseason and fantasy and all of those things. Think he has a big day, but I don't think the Dolphins can really manufacture unless they get a defensive touchdown, recover a fumble, pick six, something like that. I don't see them scoring more than 20 points in this game. So that's really all I have. I think Jake said that he had Mike McDaniel having a bag of tricks ready for the Ravens, and that would kind of make sense. But I think that goes both ways. Ravens didn't really have to pull a bunch out against the Jets, and so Jake had the Ravens to win this one. Ultimately, 31, Dolphins 26. He said, first half razzle-dazzle by McDaniel keeps it close, but 2 second-half touchdowns by Mark Andrews seals the deal. So there you have it. Jake and I, in true Purple Patrol fashion, both taking a Ravens win here. I didn't think that's what I was going to take, to be honest. I really didn't heading into this one, but I'm just not impressed enough by Tua nor their offensive line. And I don't think they're going to be able to handle a super physical, radical Ravens front the way Justin Houston played last week. Odafe Owe taking so many double teams. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the way that Campbell and Pierce and Matabike and maybe Jones and Washington, I think, exploit this Dolphins line at home. And the bank is going to be rocking. It's not going to be, a Thursday night home game like it was last year for the Dolphins on a short week. So I think that's going to be the penultimate result here. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But with that, we can get over to Dan Oyafusi, who has a little bit more insight into the Dolphins, about 20 minutes there. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you after the game. See ya.